Let's go over this lawsuit. Alrighty, I've been looking at this lawsuit that involves Dr. Michael David McKee, and I've been wondering if he truly has any money left over. Does he have money? What is going on with him? I've been studying this complaint. We can study it together. Now, I'll probably cover up some of these things, personal information, phone numbers, not show any addresses, so YouTube won't remove this video, so YouTube will keep this video intact. But I'm wondering why he didn't hire this attorney, Marjorie E. Kratzis. This is the same attorney that all of Michael McKee's other cohorts in this practice hired in the wake of this malpractice lawsuit. Is this what Michael McKee was undergoing that drove him a little nuts? And why did he ignore basically this lawsuit? Now, Michael McKee worked for the Las Vegas Surgical Associates LLP. This was a surgical group out of Las Vegas, Nevada. They offered general, bariatric, colon, rectal, vascular surgery, known for advanced techniques. They faced some kind of $20,000 settlement for misrepresented claims. Since Michael McKee is a vascular surgeon, it makes sense that he would work here, but in the wake of trouble, he just disappeared. So according to this ABC On Your Side article that just came out, he just disappeared. They tried to track this man down. They could not serve him with this lawsuit. And mind you, what I've learned is doctors might face a lot of malpractice lawsuits. This isn't the only one I've seen. I've saw other paperwork for some other malpractice lawsuit. Generally, doctors, they get attorneys to fight for them. But of all the defendants listed on this lawsuit, Michael David McKee is the only one who doesn't have a lawyer listed next to his name. The plaintiff has a lawyer in this medical malpractice lawsuit. The practice has a lawyer, Las Vegas Surgical Associates LLP. Even the physician's assistant has a lawyer, the other doctor has a lawyer, but not Michael David McKee. Apparently, maybe he believed he could just get away with it, forget the lawsuit was ever out there. He's the only one that never filed an answer. We'll go through it all. And I'm waiting on more details because I've requested public records for this lawsuit. According to ABC 6 On Your Side, vascular surgeon Michael McKee, accused in the high-profile murder, double murder in Columbus, he managed to evade this malpractice lawsuit for many months, I should say, before the alleged crime. ABC 6 Investigates uncovered nearly a dozen failed attempts to serve him with the lawsuit. It originated in Nevada. It was filed by the Las Vegas lawyer Dan Laird. He says Michael McKee failed to train this physician's assistant who injured a patient at the Las Vegas Surgical Associates LLP. This happened in 2023. No wonder this lawsuit was filed in 2024. So Laird told the publication attempts to serve McKee were thwarted. Fake addresses, questionable state-issued phone numbers. That's very strange to me that he tried to address his problems in this way. That's very strange. Why didn't he train the physician's assistant? Did he believe she was beneath him or what? This is what Laird said. The address that was given to us by the surgery group that he worked for turned out to be a fake address. It was an address that doesn't exist. He's so silly, like he could get away with it that way. Ugh. McKee's disappearance was noted months before he was arrested in Chicago for the murders of his ex-wife, Monique Tepe, and her new husband, Spencer, in their Columbus home in December. Laird's process servicer documented at least 9 attempts to locate McKee, with the address provided by the medical group proving non-existent and his phone number issued with the state medical board, leading to a fax machine. So he gave them a fax number instead of a real phone number. You could call and speak with him. Laird's efforts to contact McKee through former colleagues, including Dr. Peter Caravella, who is also listed in the medical malpractice suit, were unsuccessful. Indeed, we will see all their attempts to let this man know, McKee, know, look, you got to address this lawsuit. You just can't pretend it's not there. He said he has no idea where Dr. Michael McKee is now. Laird recounted from his response in October. He just disappeared. McKee's Nevada medical license expired last summer. ABC 6 Investigates asked Laird, is it a common practice for a surgeon to leave contact information with their former employers due to consultations regarding patient care? Makes sense. I guess a caring doctor would. I'm wondering if McKee was already losing it last summer. Well, the lawyer Laird said they tend to be highly responsible people. They're not the kind of people who just disappeared suddenly, and this was very surprising to us. Despite tracking McKee's current medical license to Rockford, Illinois in November, repeated phone calls made by Laird went unanswered. Laird was unaware of the Columbus murders until ABC 6 Investigates informed him this week. Wow. Shocking. He said, if you listed out the people who would likely be accused of committing a double homicide, a fully trained vascular surgeon would be at the bottom of my list. Laird told ABC Investigates that he also found it unusual that an attorney did not contact him on McKee's behalf, who would be funded by medical malpractice insurance. Laird is now determining if McKee did not extend this insurance when he left Las Vegas. If he did not, Laird calls the action unusual due to unforeseen complications or claims by former patients. Why would McKee let his medical insurance lapse? I don't know. He would know the big responsibility doctors have, especially being a target of a lot of medical malpractice lawsuits, whether right or wrong. It says in October, a judge granted a declaration of due diligence in the malpractice case, allowing McKee to be served via a newspaper notice. And I've been searching for that too. I'll show you the docket. This is only the second time in Laird's 12-year career that he has had to resort to such measures. Attempts to contact the medical group where McKee worked were unsuccessful, as no one returned calls to ABC 6. They should have a different name by now, and the name of this Las Vegas practice literally changed on December 30th. We will look at the court docket. So it should no longer be Las Vegas Surgical Associates LLP. December 30th, we'll see 2025, they were allowed to change their name. So I'm waiting for more documentation. But my biggest takeaway too is why McKee wouldn't train the physician's assistant. So that's what the lawsuit's about, who injured a patient allegedly until it's proven. Anyway, let's start here. With this case information, we can see all the defendants, the case number. It was filed May 17th, 2024. Obviously, if this particular plaintiff feels they were injured, it stemmed from a physician's assistant allegedly not being trained by Dr. McKee. By the following year, 2024, they were ready to file their lawsuit. So we see the plaintiff, and there's Laird, retained this attorney Laird, who spoke with ABC 6 on your side. One of the defendants, the physician's assistant, Andrea, retained this attorney, Marjorie E. Crastus. We see the actual company, the Las Vegas Surgical Associates, retaining the same attorney. We see the defendant, Peter Caravella, the doctor who spoke with ABC 6, claiming the PA wasn't trained by McKee, retaining the same woman. Everyone retains this Marjorie woman, except, look who's out here twisting in the wind, Michael David McKee, MD. So we don't have all these details, but May 17th, everything popped off. The complaint was filed. This is 2024. Initial appearance, the complaint, the demand for a jury trial, electronic summons. So by July 1st, 2024, we have a declaration of service. It sounds like this medical group, the company itself, was served. And then we start seeing some of the defendants, of course, chiming in, doing the things they were supposed to do, their lawyer making an appearance for them. Another declaration of service, and then by August 9th, 2024, we have an initial appearance for fee disclosure. The defendants, the PA, the Surgical Associates group, and we see the PA answering the plaintiff's complaint. We see the surgical group answering the plaintiff's complaint. All throughout August 2024, they're having case conferences, all that stuff. Hearings are getting rescheduled. It all makes sense. We see the plaintiff's lawyer and we see the defendant, at least 3 of them, that's the medical group, Dr. Peter, and then the PA. They all have Marjorie, the attorney, representing them. However, again, Dr. McKee is missing. So things keep going. Scheduling, we move into 2025. Of course, this case isn't going anywhere. This lawsuit isn't going anywhere. Even if Dr. McKee can dip out, he can dip out, dip away from Nevada, go to Chicago, buy and purchase that great condo that I won't mention, so YouTube will leave this video up. I had shown the court records when Dr. McKee was arrested, and I showed the Franklin County court records. I can show this, I believe, I hope. I was showing court records, like if you hit view here and it had his address, and they did not want that address, so even though I blurred it, they wouldn't put the video back up. But anyway, we see all these notices coming through. Even if Dr. McKee is over in Chicago by now in 2025, purchasing his condo, his penthouse condo, working in Rockford, this problem isn't going to go away. 2025, different people being subpoenaed, apparently another doctor being subpoenaed. Now this is stuff that I thought maybe this was a problem for Dr. McKee. By July 17th, 2025, there was a motion to amend the complaint. The plaintiff wanted to name and shame these doctors. Basically, it's like, forget putting John Doe, MD, as the defendants. Put their real names on the docket, on the court record, and the judge will end up approving that. So if Dr. McKee's reputation was anything to him, I'm sure he wouldn't like seeing his name shown on a different complaint. Then we have notices of hearings, entries, discovery, all this stuff standard on lawsuits. There were oppositions to the motions, blah, 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 notice of intent. There was a motion for leave. Now, finally, by September 23rd, 2025, there was an order granting the plaintiff's motion. Look, we can replace that John Doe MD with real names. That's why we can see these doctors and the PA's name on these complaints. So the complaint was amended. Now notice it's September 2025. Even though Dr. McKee is off in Chicago and working in Rockford, he's making that long commute. He's living in the condo. But was he still stewing over this lawsuit? Why didn't he hire an attorney? Did he run out of money? Did he let his medical malpractice insurance coverage lapse? He was running away, giving fake numbers, all this fake addresses, as if he would never be found. Did he really think that's the way to fix his problem? Was he hoping this problem would just go away? And did he really harm this plaintiff by not training his PA well enough? That's scary. Now, we have some kind of notice of name change here, but the actual firm is going to change its name on December 30th, the exact day of these killings. Let's keep going. Now, down to October, it's getting closer. What kind of life is Dr. McKee living in Chicago? Is he freaking out because he knows this lawsuit is marching towards a jury trial at some point? Is he going to have to answer to this? Is he freaking out? Is this the thing that set him over the edge? Is he not getting along with his coworkers? I mean, obviously things didn't go well in Las Vegas. Like they say, wherever you go, there you are. You can't run away from yourself. So if he took his problem over to Chicago with him, I'm sure life wasn't much better there. Now, I noticed everyone was answering except McKee. So, October 13th, the PA is answering, it's her lawyer, of course, answering the amended complaint. The surgery group is answering. There's a declaration of due diligence, extending discovery. Look at this. Even Dr. Peter is answering, same lawyer. So, the lawyer is representing all 3, just not McKee. Why wouldn't he get this lawyer to represent him as well? He must not have had the money, or he didn't take care of the medical malpractice insurance to cover it. You know, a lot of doctors have that just for this instance when there's a problem, there's a mistake, there's malpractice, maybe there isn't, but they need the coverage to answer lawsuits like this, while they can continue to do their job, focus on medicine, and let the lawyer handle it. Why didn't McKee do what his coworkers did? As October 2025 is ending, I found this interesting. It says Dr. Peters' demand for a jury trial. He's the defendant. But I like that maybe he's saying, look, let's take this to trial. Maybe he feels like I'm not settling. Let's take it to trial, and let's see what a jury decides. I found that pretty interesting. It's the defendant, Dr. Peter, demanding a jury trial. And then, of course, it's getting rescheduled because finally we get the mention again of this defendant, Dr. McKee, who is just not answering. I mean, we don't see, basically we can see what a problem he is by not really seeing his name again in this lawsuit on the docket until we get to November 10th. And look how scary that is. That's the month prior to Monique and Spencer Teppe's homicides. It's scary. So finally, November 10th, this plaintiff is like, look, obviously they must have tried, as we've learned 1 billion times, to serve him the normal way. A process server can track down a person, and it's that old, you've been served. Let me hand you this envelope. Here's the lawsuit, or let it touch any part of your body and you've been served. Well, by November 10th, they couldn't find McKee. So there's a motion from the plaintiff to say, look, let's serve this guy through the newspapers like the old days. It has to be published and enlarge time for service of process on order, shortening time. So obviously, if the process server tried to serve McKee, 9 times? This is a last resort. So they're rescheduling hearings, There's a status check right before Thanksgiving, November 24th, trial resetting, motion for extending time. And here it is. The motion was granted right before Thanksgiving. Plaintiff's motion to serve defendant Michael David McKee, MD, individually by publication and to enlarge time. The judge is like, look, okay, you guys have tried. Go ahead, serve him by publication. And I'm still seeking the record on exactly where that was published. We won't see more info about this until January 2026. So again, all the pending motions, amended order setting the time of the jury trial. Let me not skip over this. I found this fascinating. December 30th, 2025, there's a notice of change of firm name. So I don't know what this Las Vegas Group Associates LLP is known as now. Perhaps I can find that. But I couldn't help but notice that date, December 30th, 2025, the same day, unfortunately, the Teppes were gunned down in their home where they should have been safe, allowed to raise their young, beautiful children and grow old and become grandparents and remain in love and raise a happy family. No, that was the same day they were struck down. Now, unbeknownst, I'm sure, to these doctors and everything out west, their firm name was changing. I found that curious, just the same day. And now, January 6, 2026, there was the order granting that plaintiff's motion to serve Michael David McKee individually by publication. So, did they print it several times? Was it in the Las Vegas Journal or Review or the Legal News or what? I'm still searching for if they've actually done that. By now, at this point, obviously, the murders had happened, but Dr. McKee had not been arrested yet. He was not arrested until January 10th, Saturday, so 4 days later he would be arrested. So wherever they served him, when they printed his name, did anyone see it? Did anyone in the medical community see it? This is right prior to his arrest. Now, there would have been this year his jury trial. Now, I bet you they can serve him now because they know where he is, of course. July 13th, 2026. It initially said jury trial firm, as if that date was firm. It's been vacated. It's been vacated. Why? Per stipulation and order. Because I'm sure by now everyone involved in this lawsuit knows, oh, Dr. McKee has been arrested. He's been extradited to Ohio to stand trial eventually, if he really does enter that not guilty plea. And if he has to stand trial for the murders, I'm still here. If he has to stand trial for the murders, yes, I see why they vacated this. Because they probably won't have Dr. McKee dealing with this malpractice suit. And I'm not being insensitive to the victim here. This person may have truly, of course, been hurt due to a lack of training from McKee not training his PA, but obviously the murder case would take precedence over this malpractice lawsuit. So I can see why it was vacated. They set up an April 28th, 2027 next year. Status check, trial readiness, what'll happen next year? Pre-trial conference, June 9th, and then they're saying now, July 12th, 2027. Okay, this jury trial firm, chances are dollars to donut, that'll get pushed back too, unless somehow they can go ahead with this case without Dr. Michael David McKee. Can they? What'll happen with a malpractice lawsuit when one of the parties is accused of double murder? You want everyone to get their justice. You want this plaintiff to get their justice. Everyone. It's very sad. The poor PA, if she had to deal with a seemingly psychopathic Dr. McKee who wouldn't train her, allegedly, and deal with all of this. We'll see what happens. Let's close with Proverbs 17:15. Acquitting the guilty and condemning the innocent, the Lord detests them both. Let's hope the Teppies get justice. Another bit of news we're learning via Fox News is that McKee wasn't indeed very nice to Monique when he was married to her. In fact, they're going to call him emotionally abusive. It says that McKee spent nearly a decade moving from job to job across the country. A former coworker said the stint in Nevada marked the start of a downward spiral that preceded the alleged killings. The fact that they are both dead is not alleged, but, whether you're going to call it a murder, a killing, a homicide, it all matters. It matters if Michael David McKee can be proven guilty for those murders. So now Rob Mislaw is telling NBC their family quickly believed McKee was somehow involved. He was an emotionally abusive person when they were together. That is all I know. That's what Rob knew. And of course, Rob could not tip his hand about what he suspected because he wants to see justice. He wouldn't want McKee to take off and disappear before authorities could arrest him. Fox News is speaking of McKee's transport. He is booked at the Winnebago County Sheriff's Office in Illinois, and we know his charges were upgraded to premeditated aggravated murder. And even, I noticed the difference between the complaints, the first one on January 10th, and then the new one on January 11th. Initially it said McKee basically knowingly caused the death of Monique by means of shooting her with a firearm, but the next day it says purposely, with prior calculation and design, caused the death of Monique by means of shooting the victim multiple times with a firearm. So initially when we were told Spencer was shot several times. Monique, according to the dispatch audio, they could see at least one gunshot wound through the side to the chest. But obviously since then, they must have determined more gunshot wounds. Unfortunately, Monique suffered as well. Okay, this is saying McKee will not be transported to Franklin County, Ohio by Monday, January 19th. This document said the transport will not be feasible, and they finally changed this court date. Previously set for Monday, January 19th at 2 p.m. is canceled. A new date has been tentatively set for January 23rd at 2 p.m. That's what I questioned when the judge said, okay, we're going to meet Monday. I was like, wait a minute, that's a holiday. That's MLK Day. I don't know. Even this is a court document. I don't know if I totally believe it. So it's saying, okay, The transport of Michael D. McKee will not be feasible by Monday. I wonder why not. Maybe they will still transport McKee this week. I feel like, okay, are they trying to just throw the public off because they want a safe transport? Of course. They don't want the media hunting down, oh, is he in this vehicle? Are these Columbus officers traveling over to Rockford to go grab him from Winnebago County? They don't want the press following them. That's what I wonder. And then they're going over all the divorce records we've already gone through. And I have to explain, too, what I meant by the marriage lasting basically 7 months. By that, I mean Monique and Dr. McKee, when they were married August 22nd, 2015, separating only 7 months later by March 2016, those separation documents, I'm sure, even probably in Monique's mind, she's like, look, this marriage is done. Now, I've heard all sorts of rumors about what may have happened, what may not have happened, but I won't mention things that I can't prove. So that's what I mean by a 7-month marriage. I know they weren't divorced until 2017 officially, but she was out of there. They were officially separated and, I believe, living separately according to all that documentation we went over. So we've gone over all these financial records, all the unknowns, differences arising, and they have a little timeline here about McKee being an undergrad student at OSU, Ohio State University. All these years of studying, earning his medical degree at Ohio State University. Wow, that's a lot of time. I don't understand it. 2009 to 2014. He's studying for years and years and years. First undergrad, then getting his advanced degree. An internship, general surgery internship at OSU, Wexner Medical Center, and then another general surgery internship from 2015 to 2020. I mean, vascular surgery is just nothing to sneeze at. From 2020 to 2022, a vascular surgery fellowship at the University of Maryland Medical Center. Okay, I think I did see his address there. I was wondering. Then 2022 to 2025, licenses in several states, California, Nevada, Illinois. And then 2023 to 2024, he had that stint as the vascular surgeon at the Las Vegas group where all this latest medical malpractice lawsuit came from. He fled Las Vegas, leaving Las Vegas. 2025 to 2026, that's when he became the vascular surgeon at the OSF St. Anthony Medical Center in Rockford, Illinois, which was quite a haul. And that would have been quite a daily commute all the way from Rockford to downtown Chicago. And I don't know what time he went to work, but if it was any time around rush hour, it had to take him quite a while. It says, according to a source who has worked with McKee, who spoke with Fox News Digital, the vascular surgeon had basically no experience before he was hired at Las Vegas Surgical Associates. Okay, so what I need to know from reading this one sentence, according to a source who has worked with McKee, the vascular surgeon had basically no experience before he was hired? What does that mean? This man is quite educated. He's had various internships. I wonder what he means, basically no experience. No experience at the types of surgeries that they performed, or he wasn't specialized enough? I wonder what that means. The source said McKee's downward spiral began after a series of alleged surgical mishaps, one of which was detailed in that lawsuit, the docket we went over. Even though this guy says he was always nice, McKee was always kind, and he wasn't ever one of those that has these like emotional outbursts or anything like that within the operating room or when he gets into a stressful situation. So is this guy like seething underneath the surface, that type of guy? You don't know what's going on beneath things? The source added that it was reckless for those around McKee to continue allowing him to perform high-risk surgeries knowing his limitations. I don't quite understand this. What were his limitations? What particular surgeries was McKee performing? Were they outside of his expertise? Has he not had enough experience as a vascular surgeon? I don't get it. The source is saying, why are you letting a guy that's a year and a half out of fellowship, 2 years, free reign to do these crazy cases? What crazy cases? How come there's nobody putting a stop? Saying, what are you thinking of doing? The source said. That's really weird. And yeah, this is not true. I also thought they hadn't made their 5-year anniversary. However, thankfully, maybe cold comfort, but I still found it good that Spencer and Monique were able to celebrate 5 years of marriage, because we learned during their memorial, their remembrance, that write-up, that they were actually married on December 13th, 2020. They only had their wedding celebration the following month. So they did make their 5-year anniversary. So they're talking about the charging documents that were able to identify McKee, linking him to a car. So this guy is a runner, obviously, and he tries to hide from his situations, from his problems. But obviously his problems caught up with him. Are they really sneaking and extraditing this guy this week? They're just trying to maybe throw people off the scent. Really, it's only from around this area of Ohio over to Rockford. Granted, I will say there is a ton of construction. If they were taking 80, I want to see the actual route they would take. So it actually depends on the route they would take, but it's not that far. On some of these routes, there's a lot of construction. If they were going up here on 90, it was crazy construction. But, construction zone here, it's showing. If they took this route through Indianapolis on 74, or if they took this route on 65 through Indianapolis and they got over to Columbus that way, that looks a little bit more, that looks more construction zoney. But, we're talking a 7.5 hour drive. Now, this route looks more clear. So part of me thinks they're kind of just blowing smoke. Before we know it, McKee will just be in Ohio, popping up. They're trying to probably just hide from the press. They don't want anyone finding McKee on his way to Ohio. And of course, it doesn't mean they're driving. Of course, they could fly him. I don't know the safest way to transport prisoners, but there you have it. Anyway, stay tuned. I'm still all over this case. I'm waiting for more documents about the details of this malpractice suit and everything. Putting in different public records requests, getting some denials. So I will just keep going. Thanks for watching.